This episode of The Offensive Line is in partnership with Airbnb. I can always count on Airbnb to be my home base when I'm on vacation, even if I'm out of the country. It makes all the difference. But more on that later. Let's get back to the show. Jordan Love can't beat practice squad players, and that is a big problem.
How much time do we have on Devil Wears Prada?
But people were blown away by Timothée Chalamet, kid that looks like Phineas and Ferb, knowing more about sports than half the panel out there.
Right, I mean, that feels like the entire country is super pumped every time the Chiefs win.
But I can't do it because it's all documented.
When other teams are watching that film, they're not saying to themselves, oh, well, the Panthers sucks.
The important thing is Aaron Rodgers is with his friends. That's...
If you get scammed by a Hawk Tua coin, that is your problem.
From Wondery, I'm Annie Agar, and this is The Offensive Line. Welcome into The Offensive Line, you guys. We're here to make some picks, talk some shit, and hopefully make you some money. I'm Annie Agar, here with our guest today, as I just mentioned, former NFL offensive lineman and host of the Geoff Schwartz Smarter Than You podcast, Geoff Schwartz himself. Geoff, thanks for joining us today.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me. This will be a lot of fun.
Well, before we get into things, we have a lot to talk about this week, you guys. We start off the show, Geoff, with something called Too Offensive every week. These are topics that were too offensive to for even you and I to discuss. I don't even spend time on them. I spend about 10 seconds and then throw them in the NFL vault of history to never be spoken about again. First one, Justin Jefferson absolutely embarrasses the Falcons defensive back. I don't know if you saw that. I don't know what kind of coverage was going on there, but they were further apart than Carson Beck's eyes, so that was pretty bad. Giants fans, they fly a dumpster fire banner. Did you see that? The behind the plane, atrocious. I don't know who paid for that. Apparently, it wasn't Malik Neighbors. And lastly, the Bears gained 4 yards of offense in the first half. I said it in my video. Tyreek Hill had more children born this year than they had yards in the first half. Absolutely atrocious. Speaking of the Bears, let's start there, Geoff. Caleb, yes. I've been up and down on Caleb. First of all, I hate the Bears, as you probably know. But I've tried to give Caleb a shot because I want to see him do well. He has the chance to break the all-time single season sack record. Do you attribute that more to this O-line or to his inability to release the ball from his hands?
First, who is the Packers' biggest rival? Like, is the Bears the one you hate the most?
This is the question we talked about on another show. I don't think so, because I don't see it as a rivalry as much as like the 49ers. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, who would you say it? Who would you say it is?
I think in these divisional rivalries, it's most often the team that is just as good as you are at the same time. So like right now it's the Lions, because the Lions and Packers are really good, or maybe the Vikings. When you're both dumpster fires, then you don't want the other dumpster fire to be worse than you. So I think that's where it's at. Caleb Williams, okay. I think it's hard to judge this season because the Bears are dumpster fire, right? They fired their head coach, who was not good, and then got blown out by the 49ers. Everyone thinks all the time, right, there's a new coach bounce. Oh my God, a new coach. And I would say sometimes there is, because it's so toxic in the building. When the one coach is gone, the next coach elevates sort of everyone on. But I didn't think the Bears were that toxic in the locker room. They just were bad in the football field. And so it's Caleb Williams not being as good as I think he can be. The offensive line not blocking as well. But a lot of these games, the 9-sack game, I don't know, like a month ago, I went through all 9 sacks. 4 on the offensive line, 5 on Williams in the offense. So just fixing the offense. Hey, Caleb Williams, when you snap the ball, you go here. Throw it now. Get out now. Like, I think retooling the offense in the offseason for whoever is hired, if it's Ben Johnson, they're going to fix all the problems immediately just by offensive design. Caleb Williams is going to default to being the USC Caleb Williams when things aren't well. So if the defense is good, if the offensive line is good, he'll play in rhythm. As soon as he thinks I have to do too much, he gets in a hero ball, which is really not where I think he wants to be.
Do you think a Ben Johnson would come into this situation? What are the chances Ben Johnson goes to the Bears?
Well, Ben Johnson's going to go somewhere. It's a matter of where the best situation is, right? I mean, if you look around the NFL right now, it's probably the Bears if you think Caleb Williams is good. Now, if you think he's not good, maybe if the Raiders get rid of Antonio Pierce, you get a high draft pick and you want Shadur Sanders, you want Cam Ward or someone like that, or Carson Beck with the wide eyes, I guess. I got to pay attention a little bit more to that. So I mean, it depends what he wants from the job. Are the Bears going to financially, back what he needs from a coaching pool? Are they going to make sure that he has the resources he needs? Caleb Williams is, in my opinion, watching him play in college, he's one of those talents. I think generational gets around too much, but he's a very elite talent, and they have cap flexibility in Chicago, so it does feel like a spot, and he knows the division well, right? He knows the Lions obviously well. He knows the Vikings. He knows the Packers. So it does feel like that would be an option for him that he'd find intriguing.
Well, apparently he was put into, and I quote, the best situation in the NFL, but we'll get into that later. Let's talk about another good situation. Detroit, as you guys can probably see, I'm wearing a Detroit Lions sweatshirt. If you're watching from YouTube, that is a whole other story that we will brief you on later. But first of all, let's talk about Detroit. They're playing the Bills, probably the best game of the week. I have been waiting for this game since the schedule came out. It's going to be absolutely electric. Buffalo at Detroit. Detroit's -1.5. The Lions haven't lost since mid-September, but they have their biggest challenge yet this week against the Bills and MVP frontrunner Josh Allen, who had 3 rushing touchdowns and 3 passing touchdowns. Bills fans will not let you forget about it for probably the next 3 months. First, these are 2 very lovable teams, Geoff, I do believe. Is that what you think too? Because apparently someone tweeted out this week, Bills fans and Lions fans are very nice to each other. So I don't even know who America is rooting for at this point. Who are you hedging there?
I think they're probably rooting for the Chiefs to win again this week, right? I mean, that feels like the entire country is super pumped every time the Chiefs win.
The refs are, that's for sure.
Here we go again. Look, I think this is going to be Buffalo winning this game. Look, we saw last weekend what I think was a reset. And if you listen to my podcast, Plugged Air, we had the Rams, I think, winning this game outright. We had them covering the spread. It's just a bad spot for Detroit, right? For Buffalo coming off that game. And Detroit is not due for a loss, but you don't often win all these games in a row without taking an L at some point. And it often happens in this situation where the Bills are off this, not embarrassing loss, but a game where their defense played terribly. You're professional. A lot of times the next week you play a little bit better, right? And I think that we're going to see a better performance from Buffalo. And in the end, look, Jared Goff's playing great. Josh Allen is better. I do worry about the coaching because Dan Campbell, in my opinion, is more prepared than Sean. They're not calling a quarterback sneak on the 1 yard line. Like, they're not doing that, right? So you have a situation where you have a better coach in Dan Campbell. I would probably take Buffalo plus 1.5. It's unlikely a game that I would wager on. I think standalone games are not standalone games, but these big national games sometimes are hard to wager on, but I lean toward Buffalo getting the 1.5 here.
I want to get your O-line opinion because we don't have, for a show called The Offensive Line, we haven't had a lot of O-line guys on here. And when I told one of my friends that you were coming on the show, he was like, he used to roast the Bears O-line all the time in his breakdowns. I was like, well, there's a lot to roast. Yes. So do you think Detroit has the best O-line in the league currently? And if not, who does?
I think when they're healthy, they're just not healthy right now, right? I mean, Taylor Decker's out at the moment. He may come back this week, but you look, I know that sometimes, and especially coming off a Monday Night Football game where Jamar Chase had 1 billion yards and 1 billion catches, number 1 in the NFL in every category that imaginable. But the Lions chose to build in the trenches, right, over Jamar Chase. They took Penei Sewell. They've built in the trenches, before even Brad Holmes got there with some of the additions. And you look on defense, right up the middle, defensive tackle, linebacker, safety, right. Like even look, you want to even go a step further, running back, right? Like they built right in the middle of the field, and they have obviously added Jameson Williams, Almar, and St. Brown. I mean, but the core of that team is right up the middle, where the physicality matters. Where on 4th and 1, a lot of coaches are not trusting their offensive line to make those plays. Well, guess what? The Lions are trusting their offensive line. So yes, they're a fantastic offensive line, and they're playing incredible. And it allows the offense to do so many things because they know their offensive line can handle it.
Yeah, you mentioned it just a second ago too. I think coaching might be the issue of this game. Like we talked about McDermott. QB sneak, he burned a timeout to run a QB sneak and then called it again. He also he didn't decline a penalty to make it 4th down. And I don't understand his decision making there. A lot of questionable decisions, as we've seen from Sean McDermott. In this situation, you said you would trust Dan Campbell more in a big game than Sean McDermott.
Dan Campbell has an ethos. Like, this is important, Andy. Like, he's going to go for it, which is fine. If you do it all the time, then that's who you are. McDermott, I don't know what it is. He picks and chooses.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's a weird dynamic. Okay, let's pick a winner for this game. You said you're leaning toward Detroit, correct? Detroit
Buffalo.
-1.5.
Buffalo.
Oh, you're taking Buffalo.
Yes, Buffalo. Yeah. Sorry. I know you're wearing the Detroit sweatshirt here. I'm taking Buffalo.
I am. That's not. I'm doing it because I lost a bet, which we'll get into. Trust me. I do not want to be in the sweatshirt right now. I'm gonna take Detroit on this one. I think. I don't know what's getting in the water over here. It must just be the sweatshirt wearing off on me. But I'll take Detroit. This is good, Geoff, because usually I agree with my guests for the entire picks up until maybe the last one. So this is good that we're being different here. Okay, guest picker time. I mentioned it at the start of the show. There was a guest picker on College Game Day, and I know you're a big Noon guy, but College Game Day had a guest picker. Timothy Chalamet came out of nowhere as the College Game Day picker last week and actually knew what he was talking about. People were shocked. Whether it was method acting or he actually loves sports, I don't know. But people were blown away by Timothy Chalamet, kid that looks like Phineas and Ferb, knowing more about sports than half the panel out there. So why is that weird is the question I want to ask to you guys, because I get it, Timmy. You know, I'm tired of being pigeonholed too. We both like football. We both can like other things too. You know, it's sort of, Geoff, it's sort of like in Star Wars when the Jedi refused to use the Force on their opponents and they used their lightsabers. You know, it's something like that. Like, you know, it's like the Mandalorians, most non-Force sensitives, can only beat Jedi because of the Jedi's inhibitions. People like Yoda, Obi-Wan, basically just the top percentile of Jedi in the Order during the Clone Wars era. But if they use the Force more often, more people would end up like Boba Fett. What people don't realize are that Jedi aren't unstoppable gods, but just regular trained humans with jetpacks. Many of the battle strategies against Jedi wouldn't even work on Sith or people like Windu. You know what I'm saying, Geoff? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. I believe everything you said right there. I'm with you. Agreed.
We just can't be pigeonholed. We have other interests is the point here, people. We have other interests. Geoff, do you have other interests other than football?
Yeah, I'm interested in Wicked right now. Oh, I got to tell you.
Let's go.
I am all in. I actually placed a wager today on Wicked to win Best Picture. I saw it with my kids a couple weeks ago.
We're sports betting on Wicked now. Oh, that's top tier.
Another podcast, another show I do, he's a big movie critic. He's like, look, man, Wicked's going to win. I got to say, I like watching, this is going to sound maybe different for an offensive lineman, but like Pitch Perfect, big fan.
Oh,
Wicked,
great movie.
Big fan. I think I like watching things that I cannot sing and dance. Like there's no chance I'm ever dancing, no chance I'm singing. And I have a very low bar for being entertained. And those movies just entertain me. Like it's a 2 hour and 40-minute movie. It is a long movie. It's super long. I have no attention span. My 8-year-old daughter has worse than mine, and she sat through the whole thing. It was great. Costumes were good. Like the singing and dancing was great. I like those movies. Call me crazy. I don't know. It's not what I normally would like.
What's your favorite then? Is it just musicals in general? Like you like any kind of musical?
I haven't watched a lot of them, so maybe I like only the ones I've watched.
The newer ones. What's your favorite movie if you had to pick one?
Like all time or like
all time.
Out of the 3 Pitch Perfects? All
time.
Shawshank Redemption, which is not at all any of those movies. So
it's not.
No, that's my favorite movie ever.
I thought you'd say like Devil Wears Prada or something like that.
How much time do we have on Devil Wears Prada? Because let me tell you something. I don't even know if we're over time. I'm going to tell the story anyways. When we were flying home from Oregon in 2006, we were playing Washington State. Okay. We got stuck on the tarmac. Our plane actually rolled off the tarmac into the grass of the Pullman of the Lewiston Airport. So we were stuck for 7 hours before our plane was able to take off. We had 2 movies. Okay. We had The Breakup. All right. And Devil Wears Prada on the airplane. So it's normally a 45-minute flight, Annie. Okay. 45-minute flight. We're stuck for 7 hours in Lewiston Airport.
Oh my God.
After losing to Washington State in embarrassing fashion. So we watched The Breakup, Devil Wears Prada. So it was against my will originally. It is an incredible movie. I watch it every time it's on. My wife mocks me endlessly. If it was on now, my television would be on right now. Devil Wears Prada, unbelievably good. Against my will, I watched it the first time. Now I watch it all the time. So
that's good to preface that. Hey, it's a great movie.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, that's a hot take, Geoff. I would say that's a hot take. And we have more takes. It's time for Take Time. Doesn't matter if you're right or wrong, especially when it comes to Devil Wears Prada. It only matters if you get the play off in time. We're pumping up the play clock to 25 seconds. We both need to get our takes off before we get a false start. Are you ready, Geoff?
I am. Let's go.
Why would Belichick coach at UNC?
Because he's not going to get an NFL job and he wants to continue to coach. These guys are lifers, Annie. Like they want to coach forever. And it's also a way, I think, for a son to have a job. He wants his son to be the coach in waiting. He had a good year at Washington as a DC. So I think now he wants to kind of secure his son's future. And he wants to coach. These guys love coaching. He doesn't want to be around his 24-year-old girlfriend. He wants to coach.
Right. Plus, then it's a quicker trip to her dorm room. So that's great. Okay, we did it in time. All right, next one. Who should win the Heisman, Ashton Genty or Travis Hunter?
It is a best player in college football award. Not if you swap them, where would they play or most snaps. The best player is Travis Hunter. He's the number one pick in the draft. He's the best player. He should win the Heisman. He's going to win the Heisman. I don't think it's that big. I don't think it's a controversy. So Travis Hunter.
He can play both positions. Daniel Jones can't even play one. Okay, did the college football playoff get it right? 25 seconds.
What does that mean?
Did they pick the right teams? Was SMU the right choice? Was Alabama not?
Yes, Alabama. Win games that you're 21-point favorites, and you don't have to worry about that. Stop complaining.
Don't lose 2 games to 6-6 teams.
Exactly.
Idiots.
They got it right, except they did screw my Ducks. They gave us a very hard path as number one team in the country. It's not the way it's supposed to be, CFP committee.
All right, well, look at that. We had extra time even. Okay, now to the NFL. 25 seconds. You ready?
Yeah.
Scariest under the radar team in the NFL is?
I have said I think the Packers are pretty good, even though they can't beat the Lions, and they know how to win playoff games. So I think it's the Packers. I do not see a surprise team win the Super Bowl, though, but I think the Packers can do some damage in the postseason.
Let's go. I love it. Okay, if Sam Darnold and Jared Goff are playoff quarterbacks, is coaching more important than quarterback play?
Ooh, good question. Coaching is more important, I think, in certain instances. I mean, Andy Reid was great until he got Patrick Mahomes. Now he's a Hall of Famer, right? So I trust Jared Goff more than Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that was good. We were on time. We're no Mike McDaniel here. We don't get plays late on time. Okay. Is Michael Penix the next step for Atlanta? Is that the move?
It's Penix time now, immediately.
Penix time now.
I don't know why Raheem Morris is not playing him.
That pick is looking great now, Atlanta. I made so much fun of you. Now you're looking like, well, you're still half stupid because you paid Kirk Cousins that much money, but
he has to play to look smart. They won't play him.
True.
I don't know why. Maybe he's not ready. I mean, look, we're not there behind the scenes. Maybe he's not ready to go, but he needs to play. Cousins, 8 interceptions the last 4 weeks, 0 touchdowns, bad. Okay,
speaking of bad, let's do the opposite of that. Bryce Young, is he good?
I think he's not bad anymore. So I don't know what the bar you have for good is, but the last 3 weeks have been good. I mean, he's done well against pressure. They should have won last week if Leggett catches that ball. So I don't know if he's good, but he's not bad anymore. I think the Panthers are going to build around him. I think they've moved on from the idea of drafting a quarterback.
Okay, last question. Would you rather watch the Aaron Rodgers ayahuasca documentary Enigma or another year of Aaron Rodgers playing for the Jets?
Oh, I'll watch a documentary. I'll watch a documentary. I'll watch it.
There's probably some singing. It's like a musical.
You have a lot of potty time. It's probably a good potty watch. So I'll be on the throne watching the Aaron Rodgers documentary.
You can shit while you're watching shit. That's great.
I would sort of, I don't know, maybe I want to learn about him a little bit. I don't know. We'll see how this goes.
I've heard he's a great person, which is really affecting my ability to hate him for the rest of my life. It's kind of stupid. All right, guys, we're going to take a little break. We'll be right back here with more football and more bets that I lost right here on the offensive line. Okay, so you guys know my dad and brother's story doing races. Well, a couple of years ago, we did one of those races in Germany. It was my family's first time outside of the country, traveling with my brother and all the equipment. It was a very long and exhausting day, and we could not wait to get to the Airbnb as quickly as possible. Well, let me tell you, it was worth the wait. It was such a relief to get to our Airbnb in the countryside to see how spacious and beautiful the place was. It was so nice. My aunt and uncle even came over from their hotel. They left their hotel to have dinner with us at our beautiful Airbnb. That's the thing I love about Airbnbs. You can pick up right where you left off. It feels like you traveled a little distance, but you're right back at home and can do the same things and enjoy the same time that you've spent with family and friends in a home environment. Even when you're on vacation, it's so nice to know you can make your Airbnb feel like a slice of home. Airbnb never lets me down with that perfect balance of home comfort and travel excitement. All right, guys, the NFL season is rolling along and the contenders are separating from the pack. The only thing that hasn't changed this season, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL and the best place to bet touchdowns. We don't care how they get them, we just want to bet on them, and DraftKings Sportsbook is the place to do it. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TOL. That's code TOL for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
All right, guys, welcome back to the offensive line. I just want to share that I've lost another bet. You probably will not be surprised because it's happened almost every week this year. And this one happened again to Johnny. Please take a listen. John, tell the people your bet.
If I win, Annie cannot mention any word about the Packers on the podcast unless she reads what I write for her.
2 days later.
Another fourth down touchdown. Yeah! You got to be kidding me.
Come on, Jake. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
And what a game.
Unbelievable, guys. I really thought I had that one. I did. And I was so confident that I made this stupid bet with him. So I have to read something that he wrote up, Geoff. And
Okay.
I'm just going to share with you. It's not going to be enjoyable. So I believe there's a little, another video that he sent me to preface this whole reading thing.
Hi, Annie. I have come to deliver my portion of this week's bet for the Lions' victory over the Packers. Please enjoy as a token of my love and affection for you.
I just want him to know that he's not getting any Christmas presents this year. That's like a decree. I'm like, all right, here's what he wrote. And I this is not coming from me. This is coming from Johnny. And he specified at the end of the text message, he said, you have to say specifically this. Don't change anything. I would like to take a moment to address the elephant in the room. There was a game that took place last Thursday. It proved one thing. Jordan Love can't beat practice squad players, and that is a big problem. Love's contract is one of the biggest in the NFL at $220 million for 4 years. I'm always willing to put myself on video saying that everyone from the Jets to the Vikings are frauds. I was going above and beyond to hide an honest truth, though. The biggest frauds of the NFL are the Packers of Green Bay, Wisconsin. I can no longer stand idly by and weep every Sunday while the Detroit Lions are destroying every team that stands in their way of a Super Bowl, or multiple Super Bowls for that matter. I'm here to announce that I am officially joining the Pride of Detroit. I would like to apologize to my dear, sweet, highly intelligent brother. I love you deeply, and for the first of many days, I will say, go Lions. Okay, I hate you. Hate him.
It's a nice brother because if I made my brother read something for me, it would include maybe some inappropriate language. So I'm very glad your brother he's very appropriate. I like that. Very respectful.
Thank you.
Very respectful.
I'm sure he edited it down to be PG for the show.
So you just said go Lions. We have that clip forever now.
That sucked. Yeah. I can't even think about it. I was going to say something else that the Lions say out of spite, but I can't do it because it's all documented. Stupid. All right, let's talk about the Packers now that I got that out of the way. Thank God. Green Bay, this is a huge game. This could be kind of a rivalry. I have a weird rivalry with Seattle because of the whole replacement ref thing. Green Bay at Seattle. Seattle is plus 2.5. Thank God I can now talk about my team in this stupid sweatshirt. Green Bay losses are to the best teams in the NFC so far. That's why I'm not as concerned, and I think you mentioned that earlier too. They're just not on the same level, I feel like. What are your thoughts about Green Bay in this division, in this whole league this year?
Well, I think that obviously they're good, but not good enough to beat the Lions, right? I mean, and look, to be fair, the Lions game on not Thanksgiving, it was Thursday night, right? They were 4 for 5 on fourth down, including basically 3 scores, right? 2 touchdowns and the late one that ended with the field goal. So it's not like they've been that far off of beating them, but they haven't been able to do so. So I think the Packers are a good team, not great. This weekend will be interesting though, because I think Seattle's sort of in the same boat where Seattle has some really good games, some bad games. They won 2 of the last 3 games on basically needing pick sixes, but they throw the ball really well. It's tough to play in Seattle. Now the Packers are used to playing in bad weather, so they're used to the rain and the wind and the noise of Seattle. But This line is sort of telling you something, I think, right here, right? I mean, this is not even a field goal. I think it was there and went down a little bit. So be a tough game for the Packers. But if they want to keep, I mean, look, they're fairly certain to make the playoffs, I would imagine, with their record. 3 teams from that division in the postseason. But I think it'll be a tough game for them. I think Seattle at home is a different team. And they worked sort of getting by. And last week they sort of dominated the Cardinals from start to finish.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about our defense again. Our defense looked great. I mean, we have a ton of injuries now too, but we had Isaiah McDuffie covering Jahmyr Gibbs in the end zone last game, and they got Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker. A little worried about this run defense here in Green Bay, but I'm not overly concerned, I don't think. Question though, why is Seattle, it feels like on Red Zone, like if you're watching Red Zone, it cuts to the Seattle game, it's there for 2 seconds, we cut away so quickly. Why does Seattle seem like it's so boring to talk about? Do you feel that way?
Well, I mean, they're not like a sexy team. They have some great football players, right? But they're not jerseys. They're not a team that I think nationally draws a ton of attention. And so they're not covered the way other teams are. They're in the Pacific Northwest. As someone who obviously has a college team in the Pacific Northwest, I understand nationally how that region is viewed sometimes. But they play wild games though. There's that Kevin Clark tweet, right, that says Seattle never plays a normal game. They don't. Yeah. They're a team that when you're wagering on them, as I have many times, it is hard. It goes up. It's just like a roller coaster.
Yeah. It's like that meme of the kid in the car and she's like, can you just be normal? And he just screams. That's Seattle. Okay, pick a winner here. You said, I'm not going to tell you what you said anymore because apparently I've been going the opposite of what you've been saying. So I'm taking Green Bay. You're taking
Seattle.
Okay, guys, we're just enemies today.
Well, Green Bay can win and Seattle can cover.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
There you go.
We're on the same team. Okay, next game. Pittsburgh at Philadelphia. Phillies -4.5. The Battle of Pennsylvania. There's a lot of question marks with this Philadelphia team right now. Most importantly, the drama with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. I'm not sure what's going on there. But first, let's start with Saquon. Where are you on the Saquon MVP debate, Geoff?
If he breaks I was there when Adrian Peterson almost broke when he breaks Dickerson's record, he could win MVP, but that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
It is funny that Josh Allen basically won the MVP in a loss. I'm not sure other quarterbacks are afforded that same honor to have that happen, but I'd be pretty surprised if Barkley won the MVP at this time. Now, Offensive Player of the Year certainly can win Offensive Player of the Year, but I would imagine, and look, my running back take has always been that they are not worth the money. I've adjusted that a little bit because I think if you have the roster and you sort of need one more player, it makes sense. And the Philly needed that one more player. But I don't like to hear the chirping that's happening right now with, this is 2 years in a row, mind you, a winning team. Yeah. And they're fighting, well, not fighting in public last year, but we learned afterwards a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. But now it's in public. Look, wide receivers are divas everywhere because they're the only position in the NFL that's reliant on basically someone else for their production. The ball has to be thrown to you to have production, right? And so I get why they want the ball. I get why they're divas about it, but I don't think you want this airing of emotions to happen when you are on this run you are now against a good Steelers team. Look, I've been the Steelers to me. I don't know how they're doing it, but I have a rule. I have a rule that when Mike Tomlin is underdog, you wager on Mike Tomlin. So that's a simple rule. It makes you a lot of money if you do it all the time. So I don't love this. I love nothing about Pittsburgh. Like I can't tell you like, oh man, I think they're going to do this and that. No Jordan Pickens, probably doubtful playing this game, but Mike Tomlin is a dog, man. He covers all these games all the time.
Yeah. I wonder what his against the spread stats are. We should probably look that up. Okay, the whole locker room thing, and it's a situation where Nick Sirianni is probably the worst person to deal with a broken locker room because he can't fix it. He's probably part of the problem. It's ridiculous. It's worse than like Micah Parsons going on his podcast and talking about it. AJ Brown complaining to like take your quarterback aside. Say, look, we're doing great. Saquon looks great. Offense is working, but I'm worried about the passing game. And instead of just calling out when they said it in the presser, they were like, oh, what do you guys need to work on? He just said passing. That's clear direct shot at Jalen Hurts, who I think just is holding onto the ball a little tall. He's just not pulling the trigger. He's sitting back in a clean pocket. I think AJ Brown may not be as open as he wants him to be, but he's just not pulling the trigger on it. it'll be interesting. It could get better. Okay, pick for this game. Pittsburgh at Philly. I said Philly's -4.5. I think I'm going to take Pittsburgh on this one. I like what you said about Tomlin. Can't bet against Mike.
No, can't bet against Mike.
Here we go.
Tomlin
He's 62, 31, and 3 against the spread as an underdog.
Yeah. It's incredible. 66%.
That's wild. 66%. Got to bet Mike Tomlin. Are you going with Pittsburgh then too?
Yeah, Pittsburgh. I need to hire this researcher. You guys that just throws in stats in the middle of podcast episodes. Yeah, nice.
It's our own little, our own private researcher here.
I like it. Yeah.
All right, guys, stay tuned for our most offensive game of the week right here on the offensive line, and whether or not the Chiefs are performing voodoo. Stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome back to the offensive line. We have to talk Chiefs here because of Geoff's allegiance to them,
Yeah.
One of your former teams, the Chiefs, is heading to Cleveland to play the Browns. Obviously, your brother played for the Chiefs too. The Browns are 4-point home dogs. How much of this run, Geoff, and you have to be honest here, is Kansas City, is luck and is actual talent?
Well, I don't think you luck into 15 straight wins by a touchdown or less.
Here we go.
I don't think it's
dark
luck.
arts working there.
I don't think it's luck. But here's the thing. So the last 3 wins, okay, they're up 20-6 against Carolina. It was 29 at halftime. So they're up double digits at halftime. They're up 16-3 against the Raiders in the third quarter. And then they were up, in this game? 13-0 at halftime. I mean, they're not playing terrible ball and then just like sneaking by with a field goal at the end. They have played well in these games. They just don't do it for the 60 minutes. And for whatever reason, they just not been their game. But when it matters the most, they win. I would worry about what do they do well. I know winning. I was saying winning, they win well. Yeah, I mean, I get it. But it does worry me a tad as a Chiefs fan. But again, they've shown now that they do this all the time. It's their trait. It's what they are. And they're going to have the 1 seed most likely. So they're going to host a home game against Pittsburgh or Houston. I mean, that's the 2 options essentially. Or if there's an upset, the Broncos, Chargers, Dolphins. I mean, someone like that, right? And they're going to be in the AFC Championship game again. So I'm worrying for nothing.
Why? What's the biggest issue? Why aren't they blowing teams out? Why aren't we seeing this absolute dominant
boredom?
KC performance?
I guess. I mean,
that's what I said. That's what originally I thought they were holding back their playbook because they're going for the 3-peat. They don't care about these regular season games. As long as they win, that's fine. Let Pat Mahomes take over late in the game. They'll pull out a win. But I wondered if they were holding back because there's just why waste all your potential? Save it for the Super Bowl.
I don't think they're holding back per se, but they clearly play with their food way too much. And that could bite them against a good team. We'll see. They play the Steelers in a couple of weeks on Christmas. We'll see if that bites them there.
Okay. Pick for this game. I'm assuming you're going Kansas City.
If I'm wagering on the game, I'm not taking the Chiefs. I would take Cleveland +4. But not a favorite of mine.
Yeah, I think they've won the last 10 games have been won by 1 possession. I'm going to take I don't think I'll take Kansas City. I'll take Cleveland to cover. I'll take Cleveland to cover. We'll make it fun. We'll make it another 1 possession game. Okay. Lastly, Geoff, and this is the best part of the show. It is now time for our most offensive game of the week. This is a game that is absolutely brutal to watch, which I feel like there have been a lot of them. This past weekend, there were a couple that could have fit that position. This week, we have the New York Jets, which have been on this segment one too many times, at Jacksonville. Jacksonville is +3.5. I picked this strictly because of Mac Jones, pretty much.
Mac Jones fan?
Very upset about the Trevor Lawrence injury, but I am most upset because we have to watch Mac Jones now for the rest of the season, probably. And it's brutal. It's a brutal watch. Josh McDaniels, we really should have given him more credit after this. I don't know how Bill
winners.
got him to a playoff
they won
game.
Last week, though. They won.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. They did, which actually screwed their draft position.
Perfect Jacksonville story.
Perfect Jacksonville. Do NFL teams tank? On in regards to that, what you just said, do you believe from your playing time that NFL teams will tank?
They do not tank on game day. Everyone plays to win on game day. Coaches coach to win, players play to win. Because here's the deal, Annie, and I've been on a bad team, 2-14 Panthers team with the coaching staff that's being fired. When other teams are watching that film, they're not saying to themselves, oh, well, the Panthers suck, so Schwartz isn't playing hard. Like, why would he play hard? No, they judge it based on you're supposed to be playing hard. Teams tank Monday through Saturday, though, with roster decisions, right? With not signing a guy, cutting guys, not playing a quarterback, playing a quarterback. those are where teams tank. They don't tank on Sunday. We saw a couple years ago, what was that Texans Colts game, whatever that was. Like, teams are trying to win. Coaches are coaching for their jobs, right?
Yeah.
They want to win these games. So you take Monday through Friday. You do not tank on game days.
Which is interesting this year because we have Giants Raiders who are both going for, Cam Ward, Shador Sanders.
Tie. They're going for a tie.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Okay, in this game, Jets, Jacksonville, who are you taking? Jacksonville, like I said, is plus 3.5. It's at Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm taking Jacksonville plus 3.5. There's no question about it. The Jets are atrocious.
Oh, just pitiful.
And their games have been the same thing for a month now. Get a lead, lose the game. Get a lead, lose the game. Get a lead, lose the game. Can't rush the passer. Defense gotten worse since Robert Saleh got fired. So no chance of taking the Jets here. I got 3.5 with Jacksonville.
The important thing is Aaron Rodgers is with his friends.
He is with his friends. Which look,
14 years straight of missing the playoffs, but he is with people that he loves. That's what we're
losing with your friends is better than winning with people you don't like. Obviously,
absolutely. Go watch Enigma and be happy with yourselves. Okay, now it's time, Geoff, for No Offense. This is the part of the show where we can rant. It is a safe place. It can be anything. It could be Wicked or The Devil Wears Prada. I will start, and then I will let you have your platform here. All you have to do is start with no offense, because everybody knows when you say no offense, you're not being offensive. Everybody knows that. Are you ready for mine, Geoff?
Let's go. Hit me with it.
Okay. No offense, but I do not trust this college football committee for 1 second. Did you guys see that video of them watching the game Saturday? They were all sitting in their spaced out chairs, no wings, no beer. One lady had her palms flat on the armrest, okay? She was not enjoying the game. It was like she was being restrained. One guy had a bottle of Perrier. You cannot tell me that this is the committee that is picking the teams that I love and watch day in and day out every Saturday, okay? I want my playoff committee to be rowdy. I want to see lights and beer getting chugged and bongs in the background, okay? I don't want this to be a pampered chef party. My mom had more entertaining parties when she was talking about Tupperware. This is absolutely a disgrace, should not be allowed in the college football playoff, and it does not surprise me that there are questionable decisions being made there. Get these people some alcohol.
I will say it would feel better if they just had a handful of wings, right? Just like the wings on like they're licking their fingers off.
They're like robots. Then they just would be people.
It doesn't look like a very fun, inviting, warm environment to sit in that room and then just decide who is in the playoff and who's not.
Our fate of our enjoyment for the holiday season is in their hands. And we trust them? I don't think so.
Do you have a college team?
So. I do, Ohio State. Which is probably a good thing we didn't play you guys in the Big Ten Championship.
Yeah, probably. Oh, we might meet again in the Rose Bowl.
I know. Not feeling great about it.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic that Oregon can win. Yeah. We have to beat Ohio State most likely, then play Texas in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, and then Georgia with Carson Beck's noodle arm probably not going to play, but
too much Snapchatting.
I sort of saw that story. We can leave that for another day.
Yeah, it's another time.
Yeah, another time. But no, I'm with you. It looks a very sterile environment when you watch those community members just hanging out there.
Steril's a great word for it.
It's very sterile and boring. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, your turn to rant.
All right.
I'm all ears.
I did workshop a couple of these with our buddy Matt, just to make sure that one of them, look, I was doing something on the Hawk Tua coin, the meme coin, but I figured that, I don't know, maybe just if you get rugged by that, that's your fault. But sticking with the college football theme, no offense, but Alabama people, stop whining. Enough tears. Here's your tear bucket. Like, enough tears, okay? The one year, Annie, in all the college football playoff years, the SEC doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. We are whining and crying and pouting and complaining on social media and talking about things that don't even matter. We're not going to schedule hard anymore. Okay, who cares? Don't schedule hard anymore. You lost 3 conference games. Those are in your contract. You play in that conference. Don't lose as a 21-point favorite on the road. Don't lose as a 14-point favorite on the road. Stop crying. Yes, you are better than SMU. We get that. You would beat them in a game. Are we sure, though? Because you lost to Oklahoma. You lost to Vanderbilt. Are we sure you'd win those games? This is not a playoff setup. I would love a playoff, Annie, if it was a 12-team playoff. I'd love if it was just the top 12 teams. That'd be great, right? We're trying to find a winner. I get it. 12 teams. But that's not the system. We reward conference champions, and maybe we should. I'm not saying they should get all buys. I think it's a bad system when you have the 9th place team get a buy and the 12th place team get a buy. Yeah. But Alabama, stop whining.
I love it. Boom roasted, Alabama.
Also,
you guys suck.
They do so. Matt is desperate to hear my Hawk Tua thing.
We need to hear it now.
No offense, like if you get scammed by a Hawk Tua coin, that is your problem. I fail to understand why people get famous nowadays. And if you buy a Hawk Tua coin, that is a you problem. It's not my problem. I enjoy the entertainment of the tweets about it. That's a you problem.
Imagine going home and telling your kids, "Hey kids, can't buy Christmas presents this year. I got scammed by Hawk Tua coin." I get what crypto is. I'm not like a dummy. I get it. But the coin thing I don't really get. It does feel like it's like a stock. I get that part of it, but like, it does feel like there's a lot of shadiness happening behind the scenes, and these celebrities are getting conned into it without knowing what's happening. This has happened a couple times. Yeah.
Well, the other one.
It's happened a couple times where people get scammed on Twitter.
We're not talking about that one. That one's too funny. Yeah. That one's, this fade all those person's wagers. That's easy. That's the way to handle that one. So, I love the entertainment of it. Don't get me wrong. I very much enjoy a good scandal on the old X machine. But no offense, that's a you problem. If you lost money doing that, that's a you problem. Yeah,
I would agree with that. That is a you problem. Oh man, that was a great rant. I'm kind of partial to. I like both of them. I like your energy in both of them, Geoff.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Did it feel good? Did it feel good to get that out?
It did feel good. Yeah, especially Alabama fans. Enough, guys. Enough whining.
Yeah, enough. Go Come on. Get some Bitcoin. Okay, now that we've gotten that off our chest, let's recap our picks. There's a couple we agreed on. We agreed on Pittsburgh plus 4.5 at Philly, Jacksonville plus 3.5 against the Jets. Geoff picked Buffalo plus 1.5 at Detroit and Seattle plus 2.5 against Green Bay. I picked Detroit minus 1.5 versus Buffalo and Green Bay minus 2.5 at Seattle. We'll keep an eye on those to see who comes out on top there. Geoff, that's what we do around here. You know, there's no participation awards.
You need to keep a record. Of course you do. Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, Geoff. We didn't even ask if do you have a plug? Are you plugging anything?
My podcast, Geoff Schwartz is Smarter Than You. You can find Bear Bets also. And I got some social media.
That's hilarious.
At Geoff Schwartz. Yeah, Bear Bets with Chris Felica for Fox Sports. I do work for Fox Sports. I work for VSiN. Yeah. So you can find me. You can find me anywhere. I'm easy to find if you like Geoff Schwartz content.
He is easy. He's a big dude. You are easy to find.
That's also true.
I feel very, very short next to you.
So do most
very
people.
Short. Well, thanks for joining us, Geoff. Hopefully you'll come back. Hopefully we didn't scare you away.
I appreciate it.
That's it for this week, you guys, on The Offensive Line. Be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts, and you can watch our full podcast episodes on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. I will see you guys next week, and as always, Des didn't catch it.